The email subscriber at 4053613.
Sometimes you know, you could have done better. Same goes for where you invest. Level up and invest smarter with Schwab.
I think people have a lot of imposter syndrome around, am I worth X amount of money? Am I worth $5,000? And it's about removing your ego from it. And it's not about, are you worth it? It's about, can you deliver a result for someone else where that result is worth way more than $5,000 to that person? And there's sort of two ways of thinking about this. There's like the person and then the problem. If the person has a lot of money, the same problem is worth a lot more money for them. For example, Esther Perel is a relationship therapist who only works with billionaires. And so she charges a shit ton of money because for a billionaire to save their marriage, it's exactly the same thing that the $10 an hour relationship therapist down the road charges. But because she's targeting billionaires, it's a massive value to them. And so they are paying her like $1 million a year for exactly the same thing. So if the person that you're targeting has loads of money, then generally it is a lot easier for them to see the value of the thing, which is why it's generally easier to sell to businesses than to normal people. This is difficult for people because people listening to the podcast are probably normal people. They're probably consumers who are used to thinking like normal people rather than thinking like businesses. I guess in your guys' case, it's an audience of like videographers and stuff. And so you guys know that when you pitch something to Nike, you can like 10x your pricing and they won't bat an eyelid because it's freaking Nike. And then the first time you do that, it sort of breaks your brain and be like, whoa, 50 grand was like nothing to them. And 50 grand to me is like my whole year's salary. Holy shit, kind of thing.
Or you charge too cheap and they say you're too cheap and they don't go.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, no, this is so cheap, I can't possibly get shit. I couldn't possibly get the CFO to sign off on this. It's too cheap. And it makes you realize, holy shit, businesses think about money in a very different way than individuals do. And so that's why generally when I'm coaching people through the process, we're trying to figure out, do you have any, or like what pre-existing skills do you have? I call these like craft skills, or like what pre-existing craft skills do you have, either personally or professionally, that could potentially help a business? And then the second part of this is what is the problem? Now, it's generally easier to sell things that are helping someone make money or helping someone save money. So we have students in our program that are like, I help seven-figure course creators increase their close rates by 25% through their sales calls so they make way more money. That's a very easy offer to sell for like 10, 20 grand. But we also have people that are like, I help working professionals struggling with imposter syndrome overcome their imposter syndrome. That's a hard offer to sell for like thousands of dollars because there's no, like, what's the tangible outcome there? I'm like, okay, is it that we help them get a raise? Is we help them get a promotion? Oh, no, I couldn't possibly promise that because like, I can't promise that. I can just help them get over imposter syndrome. Bro, you've got a lot of imposter syndrome yourself. Like, let's try and tie it to a tangible outcome that this person would value. And so those are some of the mistakes that we see people making. Choosing a person to target who doesn't have enough money, or choosing a problem that's not sufficiently painful or sufficiently tangible to justify a high ticket price. And this is why everyone who's like, I want to be a mindset coach, I want to be a life coach, I want to be even a productivity coach. I'm the world's most followed freaking productivity expert, and it has been hard for us to sell our productivity course because people don't actually want productivity. They want productivity as a vehicle to get them to the thing they actually want, which is to build a successful business or to complete their PhD or to get a promotion at work. The people want tangible outcomes. And if you're trying to sell the vehicle that gets them there, like productivity or overcome your imposter syndrome or whatever, it's really hard for people to see the value of that, even when you have massive audience.
Alright, thank you so much for watching this little clip. And if you enjoyed this video, then firstly, you should totally check out our Lifestyle Business Academy. There's details down below if you are interested. Or alternatively, if you would like to continue browsing some videos, check out this video right over here, which should be helpful for you in your journey.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want and watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand in any direction. From tools built for one to platforms ready for many, from passion projects to enterprise-grade systems, everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation where you can go as far as your imagination takes you. Can you imagine it? Let's make your dream a reality right now.
when I was like 18 and got into med school, I started like speaking to doctors around me, and a lot of them seemed kind of miserable. And I sort of projected out 10 years ahead. Is this like how happy will I be in this career? And I kind of realized that most of the doctors that I knew kind of enjoyed their jobs, but they didn't enjoy the lack of flexibility and the lack of autonomy they had in their jobs. The happiest doctors I knew were the ones who worked part-time, who worked 3 days a week. And so I did some maths, and I calculated if I could make £3,000 a month in additional income, I could work 3 days a week as a doctor. And so aged 18, that was what started my journey towards financial freedom, where I was just like, the goal was 3K a month. And I realized that like school didn't teach me the skills required to make income independently. The thing that school teaches us, as you guys might be familiar with, is like school teaches us that in order to be independent, you need to be dependent on a single employer for your salary. And the only way really we're taught to make money is like we're not even taught explicitly about money. Like school never teaches about mortgages, about like investing. It doesn't even teach us about the basics of budgeting or anything like that. It's just sort of a given that of course you're going to end up with a job. And like, you know, you go to good school, you get good grades, good university, good job, and then happiness and success and stuff, right? That's kind of like the water that we are swimming in the education system. And so when I first came across Tim Ferriss's Amazing 4-Hour Work Week, back when I was age 18. Anyone here read 4-Hour Work Week? Nice, fantastic, great. That basically turned me on to the idea that I could take my income generation into my own hands. And so I set the goal of £3,000 a month. I started off trying to figure out like what the business idea can I start. I came up with this idea of like teaching courses for medical student applicants or whatever. And then that got me to the goal of £3K a month. Within like a year or two, in year one we got like a few $1,000 and then a few £1,000, and then year two I hit my goal. And it's sort of just been following that journey of like learning a bunch of skills, trying them out, putting random shit out there on the internet, hoping for the best, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And actually now, over the last, it's 2025, I started that first business back in 2012. So I've now been doing this, trying to make money on the internet thing for 13 years. And now that, you know, whenever I do talks and stuff, it used to be that people would ask me about like how to study for exams, and then it was sort of like how to manage their time to be productive. Now the thing everyone really cares about is like how do you actually make money? I think people are realizing, especially with AI, especially with like, you know, recessions and stuff, that what was once considered a secure job is now no longer that secure. I have lots of friends in medicine as well. You know, medicine was famously touted as like the most secure job on the planet. You always have a job. And yes, you'll always have a job, but you might not always have a job where you want to work. I have friends who have spent years qualifying as doctors, and they really want to work in London. They want to get like a training post or a consultant post in London, but they can't because it's too competitive and there's not enough spaces, so they get shipped off to Aberdeen or something. Anyone from Aberdeen? Probably not, it's too far away. Further away than Brazil or the United States. And so one thing that one idea I've been doodling on is this idea of security. Like we all want security. I want security. We want financial security. We don't want to end up broken homeless, obviously. But often security, like a maximum security job, can sometimes be like a maximum security prison. Because the more secure a job is, the less freedom it is likely to give you. And so if you're someone like me and you want security, and also you want freedom as well, then you're kind of screwed if you follow the normal system. Because the normal system does not optimize for giving you security and freedom at the same time. And this is really